Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Sean's little check-in. I know it's been several months since I have done a little check-in. So I thought I would talk today about a topic I've been really giving some serious thought to that I think a lot of people can relate to. And since I think many of us have found ourselves doing a lot of listening, um, such as through reconnecting with friends, spending time with our loved ones under the same roof a lot. And now we're starting to get out a bit more after so many months of just being so contained during the pandemic. Um, there's been a lot of opportunity, is what I'm getting at, to notice how we are listened to by others around us and how we listen. Um, and that said, what I'm thinking of in particular is the topic of the fawn response. So, as many of you watching this have probably surely heard about the three main survival responses when you're under any kind of stress of fight, flight, or freeze, or any combination thereof. Those come up when we're in danger mode and we have to survive. That can happen in childhood around abusive family members, or in immediate sense when you're in a car accident and you have to think quickly on your feet and get away from the dangerous situation in some way, or go into survival mode to rescue a loved one, for example. And that's within the fight, flight, freeze response that is generally pretty well known. Something I have read a little about and given more thought to more recently is this fourth response that has been discussed and written about. And I actually look forward to finding out more about it myself, but that's called Fawn, the fourth F, the fawn response to fawn. Um, Now, my understanding to fawn as and maybe many of you think of this too, to fawn, what does that mean? It's to excessively or really pile it on with praise to another person, to really give them lots of ongoing positive attention and make them feel the center of attention and especially special. That's called fawning. Now, the fawn response is an adaptive survival response in its own way, too. If you think about it, fawning can be done to help a person obviously feel better, who's the recipient of the praise of the fawning, such as to calm them down. If they are really a person in a household, for example, who tends to get very dysregulated, i.e., easily very upset, and maybe rageful or extremely saddened and into a real deep sad spiral of like incredible nonstop crying, or if a person is just extremely moody with all sorts of emotional expression from crying to rage or what have you, and they're really contributing to just a very unsafe feeling, dysregulated, if you will, home environment. A child of such an adult who is doing that can and will learn to fawn, for example, to calm the person down and have them feel safe and in the center of things, that they are special and important and loved and all of that, to get them into a calmer space. And a person can do fawning to enable that calm to happen, and therefore the environment, the whole immediate environment in the home, to be safe and calm again, and have some equilibrium to it. Hence the fawn response. This is something that can carry on once a person is out of such an unsafe kind of environment. And by the way, this can apply to domestic situations, with one's partner too, one's spouse. If one's spouse is very dysregulated and can go into even being physically and or verbally and emotionally abusive, the other person can go into a fawn mode to help that person calm down by getting the clear message that this person is very special and important and worthwhile. Uh, and in doing so, the person who's doing the fawning is really, in a sense, they're reducing themselves in space, both emotionally, especially since physically you're still taking up physical space, but maybe you're going to take up physical space less as best you can. You get smaller as best you can by hunching your shoulders in or what have you. But what you are certainly doing while fawning excessively is in this survival mode place is you're really making it a point to emotionally make yourself seem smaller and less significant so that this other person can be the center and feel and believe that they are larger and take up more space and have substance and are significant, to help them therefore feel safe and calmer and important and even in a sense inflated and bigger. There's a lot going on there with the fawn response. So we can, those of us who've adapted to doing that in life can still do that out of habit in conversation with another through giving a lot of praise that may be just out of habit as opposed to something that's more spontaneous and genuine praise that just comes naturally in conversation. Or doing some other things too, like besides praise, also talking less down about yourself, downplaying your knowledge or abilities, such as saying that, oh, you're more well-read than I am, and playing up this other person's, the other party's inherent abilities or qualities or what have you. And that all can be within the fawn response. So that's just something to pay attention to as one moves into more of a reciprocal, equal, space-taking, equally significant personhood and belief about oneself, where fawning isn't needed really anymore at all as a survival mechanism. Even though out of habit, one may still find themselves doing that. I have certainly outgrown that myself largely, and it's been a wonderful thing. As I've gotten more conscious during this time of the pandemic, of reconnecting with old friends and listening to clients so much, and then having all this time to think about what I'm listening to and how I'm listened to and how I am being listened to. It's just been very rich in insight for me, including about this fawn response that I'm sure many of you are probably familiar with too in yourselves. So I just wanted to share about that, and as we just move along in this pandemic and start to hopefully be able to continue to branch out and move about as we get our vaccines and other people have their vaccines. Of course, it remains to be seen how it goes with the different variants of the pandemic, of the virus, if the vaccines respond successfully to those. So anyway, take care, everyone, and thanks for watching and listening.